Hey guys, how's it going? We're back with another hand review, and today I'm here together with Cold Smile.
Hey, Six Base Crushers, what's up?
And yeah, we have this interesting hand for you where we open cutoff with 5-6 suited, and we get through by the small blind. He threads quite small, as you can see, to 8.5 big blinds. And yeah, obviously we have a fairly easy call against a small sizing, but also against the bigger sizing. This is definitely a hand we usually want to flat call. It plays really, really well in position. And yeah, flop is the interesting part. We flop the 6-high flush draw, not the worst of 6-high in general. But the interesting part is that villain checks flop on ace king 10 with two hearts, and we decide to bet quite big. And yeah, his thoughts are that his checking range is really weak. And with his strong hands like ace king and aces and kings, villain will always bet. And yeah, he basically never checks a hand like ace jack or ace queen or king queen or king jack or queen jack suited or tens. Yeah, what do you think, Cole Smile? Is this thought legit or not?
I would be pretty suspicious when I see checks on like boards that favor the three betters so much. So Ace King X, Ace Queen X, like all these boards that you can just bet for a small sizing with all of your hands, and basically the caller will always get into trouble no matter what his hands really is, unless he has like the nuts, obviously. So I would always be a little bit careful with like strong assumptions about checking and checking ranges and barreling ranges. There's some truth to this, but there's also a big potential for mistakes. So if you go back to pre-flop, I would agree. We are always calling this hand. 5-6 suited has some nut cracking ability too. So even against a stronger range, a tighter range, which is not really true for the small blind, but even against tighter ranges, this hand plays pretty well. We are in position, so we are realizing our equity really well. And if we get a discount on the price, then it's even better, right? So 5-6 suited, everyone loves to call that, and then now we even get a little bit better price, and everyone loves discounts. So yeah, go ahead and call. Flop, as I said, I would be really suspicious. I don't think ace king 10. Everyone is basically seeing the high cards, the ace, the king, the 10, and that the small one has every straight, every top set, aces, kings, 10s, queen jack suited, stuff like those. Really no reason. Yeah, there's no reason for the small blind to get off the pedal now and like slow down for any kind of reason, unless he has some kind of medium strength hands or some hand that doesn't want to play for stacks but still is pretty strong. And I think that's the case for most of the stakes with 50 NL and below, that people tend to check their middling type hands, even though they know they should bet most of their hands. So they always bet their ace kings, they always bet pocket kings, maybe check sometimes with aces as a trap, but the rest is basically the middling part. So I wouldn't really agree on the argument that this range is weak, because I think ace queen is in there, ace jack is in there, with for sure can stand some heat. So I would be very, very careful with stepping into a range that basically has no check folds really, because all the air will always going to bet the flop because it's so good. If he has a hand like 6-7 suited, he's just betting 1/3 and be like, okay, this is a great flop for my range, I can bet all of my hands. And if he has like ace queen, he's like, maybe I want to play a smaller pot or a middling pot with that hand. So that's I
And
think.
the fun part is we have the 6-high flush draw, right? And it's not impossible that villain traps. So maybe he has tens and or queen jack, and he goes for the check raise. And of course, we cannot realize our equity anymore. And this would be the worst ever, right? When we cannot see the turn, because yeah, we can just check flop and realize our equity for free, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to step a sizing versus the checks, if you think, okay, he's checking way too many hands or he's giving up too much, for example, pocket nines, pocket sevens, stuff like that, a small step will work for has the same effect than the big one, just for a better price, right? And if you get check raised, you still have the option to call and see a turn without getting like jammed on. That would be a disaster, obviously.
Yeah, and also when we think about the hands that fold flop is really only a hand like nines, eights, sevens, maybe sixes, who knows. And all those hands fold on the turn anyway, so no reason really to bet flop when we have no additional information on the player. Of course, when you play on a regular basis with your opponent and you have the read, okay, he's only checking sixes to nines on the flop, and with everything else he bets, okay, go for it. But in general, we never have a read like this, right? And like you mentioned, Cold Smile, you still have can have all the middling hands, like all the suited aces, all the strong Broadway aces that have only top pair good kicker now. And I would also not discount a hand like tens and aces all the time. I mean, yes, there are a lot of draws out there, but still, a lot of people, I think, are playing a little bit too tricky and go for the check raise or check call strong hands a little bit too often.
Yeah. And if flop goes check check, we could still opt for a turn bet if we get check two again, because the range that checks to us twice is a lot weaker than the range that checks the flop. And we can still go for like a big turn bet and a river bet as a bluff with our 6-5 flush draw. So this would work as well. But stepping the flop very big and then stepping again very big on the turn won't really work in this case because of the reasons we just discussed, right?
But I have one other question. When we change our hand a little bit, let's say we have 5-6 in spades. Is this a better bluff now? Because we can never win when we check, right?
No, but yeah, but you don't have like any kind of equity, any kind of reasonable blockers. I would check that too, and then maybe try to bluff a river, or bluff a turn even, if we spike some equity. But on Ace King 10, there's basically no turn where we can make any kind of straight draw, any kind of flush draw with spades. So I would try to check it down and definitely turn into a bluff on the river. Basically, doesn't really matter what the river is. If we get check to, this would be a mandatory bluff.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is important to realize. So you should only bet flop when you have decent equity, and when you have no equity, check flop. Usually bet turn when you improve equity. Turn open ender, turn flush draw, turn gut shot, whatever. And if not, with 6 high, it's very often a very profitable river bluff. But yeah, don't bet flop unless you have something really good in the situation. Cause like we mentioned, villain can have all the middling and all the strong hands, and he will trap from time to time.
Yeah, and it could be that we are drawing dead against the traps on the turn, right? If he has aces, tens, king 10, ace 10 suited, stuff like that, we could be drawing dead, and even we don't really want to make our flush anymore. So what would you do?
Yeah.
Maybe let us know in the comments below. Would appreciate it.